Welcome to Sunday Springboard with Melanie and Kimberlyn Coaching, where we help women recover from and flourish after stress and trauma. I'm so glad you're here with me again today. We are continuing on our saga of how do we handle stress and trauma. It seems to be something that everyone is having problems with nowadays, and we're trying to find out some ways, discussing ways that we can handle it in a more powerful way to where it doesn't get us down so often. Hang on, I'm going to share my screen with you. If you've watched any of my past videos, you've seen this screen. I just want to remind you that we've talked about how to regulate our bodies at the moment when we're triggered, when we're upset, how to calm ourselves. We've talked about eliminating the stressful situations that we can. And now we're continuing to talk about how can we decrease our reaction to stress? How can we not get stressed every time something happens in our life that we consider stressful? If you've missed my previous videos, you can go to my website, kimberlyncoaching.com, and look on the Springboard page, and there you can watch all of my past videos and you can catch up and learn about all the things that we've talked about in the past about stress and trauma. There getting to be a lot of videos there. So we've also talked about the core disciplines. These are concepts, philosophy, a way of life, a way of thinking, a way of acting that helps us live fully and powerfully and energetically, and helps us not react to the situations in life that can cause us stress. We learn to not be able to have to react in a stressful manner. We are able to be calm and feel in our power and make responses to things instead of reacting. We've talked about we've talked about awareness of reality. We've talked about awareness of self, and today we're going to go on and talk about awareness of others. We'll talk about environment and choices and options in the next coming weeks. So others, what do we want to talk about with others? The topics we want to talk about are your focus. Are you focused on yourself? Are you focused on others? Do you have a balance? And the effect. How do other people affect you? How do you affect people? And our effect is exponential. We want to talk about that, about how our effect can make an effect on the world, the way we react to people. So let's start off with focus. So we're just becoming aware. Remember, there's not necessarily a bad or a good, but some things, some ways of looking at life, some filters serve us well and some don't. And so if you become aware of how you're responding in life, then you can decide, do I like this or do I not like this? Do I want to keep reacting this way or do I want to change? So first of all, some people are self-oriented. They're self-absorbed. They go through life and they just don't see other people. They're just so busy with their own world that they don't notice when what they are doing affects other people. Now, there's various reasons for this. One of the reasons that you could be in this situation is if you're going through trauma. Maybe you're in an abusive situation or financial problems, or anytime you're in some really big traumatic situation that feels very strongly stressful or depressing. Maybe you're grieving. You're in survival mode, and this is exactly normal for where you should be. Remember, we've talked about how the brain pours all the hormones, and those hormones turn you into Hulk mode to where you can't focus on other people clearly. You're focusing on yourself. This is not a bad thing. And if you could get yourself to focus a little bit on other people, you will pull yourself up a little bit. So if you ever have been to a rehab, alcohol, drug, eating disorder, when you go to treatment, one of the first things they do is they give you a job. This is to get yourself focused off of yourself. If you stay focused on yourself all the time, it tends to keep you depressed. And so if you're in a situation, like I said, don't feel bad about it. Don't criticize yourself for it. Just see if there are ways that you can look out a little bit and do a little bit of something for someone else. And that will help you move out of the survival mode and out of the depression that you're in. Now, there are some people who just don't care about other people. If you have a person like this in your life, if you become aware that this is how they are, then you can decide, do I want to be around them at all? Do I want to limit the way I am around them? Do I need to set some boundaries around them? You can understand that the reason they are the way they are is not saying anything about you. It's not anything bad about you. This is just the way they are. They absolutely don't care. Now, on the other side of the pendulum swing is how we are people who are other oriented. So some people are so busy caring for other people and helping other people and fixing other people that they don't see themselves at all. They're just so busy. They're just so, and they don't see themselves at all. And they think that they're being unselfish and they're being caring and they're being, maybe they feel like they're being the way they a Christian should be, or something like that. And it's good to be helpful. It's good to care about people. But if you are so focused on doing that that you don't see yourself, then you're eventually going to wear yourself down. You're going to end up feeling resentful. You're not going to feel the joy and the love that you would have if you have a more balanced view of things. Another way that you can be other oriented is that you're so busy caring about other people because you don't think you're worthy of caring about yourself. Maybe if you, if when you think about it, if someone says you need to have some self care and you feel guilty about that, you feel like I don't have time for it, I'm not worthy of this, I need to be helping other people all the time, or I'm not worthy, I don't deserve to take care of myself. This is some low self-esteem, and this is something that, again, this, it wears you out, it makes you tired, it makes you exhausted, it makes you depressed and have no energy. And you can decide, is this the way I want to live, or do I want to change something? Of course, the best way of looking at things is to have a balanced view. We care about ourselves and we care about others. You have to take care of yourself first before you can even take care of other people. You remember when you're on the airplane, they talk about the oxygen mask coming down. They always tell you put it on yourself first. You're not being selfish. You're not being rude to someone else. When you take care of yourself first, then you have the energy and you have the bandwidth, brain bandwidth, to be able to help someone else. Well, let's talk about the effect others have on us and the effect we have on others. So think a minute and think about, how do people affect you? How important is it to you that you please other people? Do you get upset when you think about someone being unhappy with you? Do you make your decisions along the lines of pleasing somebody else? Maybe your mate, maybe your friends, maybe your parents. Obviously, if you're a child living at home, you should be pleasing your parents to a certain degree. But some people, even when they're older, as adults, they feel like they have to please their parents, even if what they're doing is not to their best benefit. So think about that, how much, how important it is to you that other people approve of you, and how important is it, how well do you have your own thoughts and feelings? Are they all caught up in pleasing other people? The other thing you can look at is, are you an extrovert or are you an introvert? Now, people seem to think that one is better than the other, and they're not really. They're just different ways of looking at life. So an extrovert gets their energy from being around other people. That's how they charge up. That's how they are energized. Whereas an introvert gets their energy from being alone. Doesn't mean that an introvert does not like being around people or always wants to be alone. But they have to have times where they can spend time by themselves and energize, charge up their battery, and then they can go be with people. So be aware of what you are. If you're an extrovert, make sure that you have some time scheduled where you can be with people, because that's what builds you up and lifts you up. If you're an introvert, make sure you have some times where you can spend the time alone, and you can energize yourself and charge yourself up so that you can go back out into the world with people. So are you allowing yourself to be controlled, or are you allowing yourself to be abused? Are you a doormat? Things can happen for many different reasons, right? You could be in a situation that started off regular and normal, and it just gradually got into a situation where you just let the other person, maybe you were being a people pleaser, maybe you had a little bit of a low self-esteem issues, maybe the person is a very charismatic, powerful person, or they're in authority, or maybe you just have such low self-esteem you don't trust your own self to make decisions for yourself. So you could be allowing yourself to be controlled or abused, and you may be to a point that you don't even know how to get out of that. How do I move? You feel stuck, you feel afraid. Um, Again, if you're okay with that, you can stay there. But of course, if you're in physical abuse, I would suggest and highly recommend that you do whatever it takes to get out of that situation, get to safety. But if you're in a situation where you're in an abusive or controlling situation, there are resources to help you. I have put a link on the show notes where you can schedule a free coaching session with me. We can talk, I can show you and tell you some of the resources that can help you move on and get stronger yourself, and be in a situation where you're not being controlled or abused. And one of the things that can help do that in all of these situations is to have boundaries. We Sometimes we don't believe that we can have boundaries. Maybe we grew up in a family that didn't have good, clear-cut boundaries, and we don't really know what boundaries are. But boundaries respect ourselves and respect the other people. And it's important to have boundaries in whatever way. You never would have no boundaries, or you would not be living a very happy life. So boundaries are very important. On my resources page of my website, there's a boundary book that is very good, that will help you out. Or also, like I said, we can talk about it. What about our effect on others? Now, maybe we are a controlling person. Maybe we think that we're helping them. We think that we're loving them. We think that we know the best way to do things and that they don't. Now, we may not understand that they get upset with us because they feel like we're not respecting them. Maybe we're caretaking. We're trying to help someone do something that they actually need to be doing themselves. Maybe we're a helicopter parent, where we're always so busy trying to make sure that our child or our loved one doesn't fail. I actually was a bit of a helicopter parent. At least I was a kind of parent that no matter what they needed at school, I would run it up there. Forget their glasses, forget their lunch, forget their papers. I just run it up there. One day, my daughter's teacher called me and she said, I just want to tell you what's been going on, let you know so you'll understand. Your daughter forgot her homework at home today, and I'm not going to allow you to bring it to her. She is upset, she is crying, but I want her to learn that she will live through this. My daughter was a very high achiever like me, and we both want those hundreds, those A pluses, and she would not allow me to take it. And I have to tell you, I was upset at first. I had this feeling of, oh, and then I realized that this teacher had done such a wonderful thing to teach my daughter and to teach me that we have to let people learn these lessons on their own. If they never learn them, then they are going to be stressed out, and I'm going to be stressed out as I'm trying to deal with them. They're not going to learn to be responsible, dependable people, and they're not going to learn how to go with the flow without it upsetting them. So I'm grateful that she did that. So when we have people in our life that are doing behaviors that are risky, maybe we have family, loved ones that are addicts, that are doing all kind of things that are not what we feel are the way they should do it. Here's some statements. I learned these from Al-Anon, and so these are basically about addictions, but I think they fit for most things. You didn't cause it, you can't control it, you can't cure it, but you can contribute to it. So if you have a loved one who is in addiction, active addiction, look and see, am I enabling them? Am I allowing them to not suffer the natural consequences of their actions? Now, I don't necessarily have to create consequences, though I might if they're living in my home, especially if they're younger. But as they're older, just I can often just allow them to experience the natural consequences of their behavior without rescuing them. So we can have a negative um, effect on people, on our children, on our coworkers, our friends, by being critical and negative. If you are raising your child in such a way that you're always telling them what they did wrong, if you're calling them names, even if you feel like you're teasing them, but people, the person teasing, calling the name may think it's funny, but the person being called the name doesn't. It's not laughing. And so the things that you do as when your children are or younger will follow them all through their life. As I've told you in some of my stress and trauma classes, if you have had a critical, negative, inconsistent childhood or any length of time, this is what causes stress, and this is what we call trauma. So if you are being this way to people in your family, then your effect on them can be very negative, not only mentally and emotionally, but also can cause them to have many physical health problems. Another way we can affect people negatively is we're just absent. We're not there physically. Maybe you're working so much that you think you're doing this for good, but you're never there. You're never there physically. Maybe you're not there emotionally. Maybe you spend all your time on your phone when you're around your children, or maybe when you're having meals, you are not you're not giving your family the attention that they deserve, and you're being absent emotionally. Now, you need to think, why am I doing this? Maybe there are things going on with you that you are not aware of, right? We're talking about becoming aware. Don't want you to necessarily say, oh, I'm being a terrible person because I'm being this way. Just notice, this is how I'm being. Is this how I want to be? Or do I want to change? Now, there are many ways that we can affect people positively. So when we're cheerful, when we are positive, it just cheers up a room. When a positive person comes into a room, it just makes everyone more happy. Be an encourager. When you say things to people, encourage them and find the good. Be on the lookout being for being encouraging to people. Again, I'm wanting you to become aware. Are you this way? And if you are, wonderful, keep it up. If you're not this way, do you want to change? How can you become more aware of how you're behaving and become aware of how you want to behave? Another thing that's positive is to challenge people, to challenge people to get out of their comfort zone. You tell them, hey, I see this strength in you. Maybe you want to step out here, or I believe that you can do this, even though you're afraid. So we can challenge people. Being assertive. We tell people, we can tell people what we need, what we want. Now they have a right to decide if they want to give that to us or not. But when we are assertive, we can have better relationships because people know where they stand with us. If we're being aggressive, we may be making people fearful. If we're being a doormat, we don't ever tell them how we're feeling. They don't know where they are with us. But if we're assertive, we learn to ask for what we need. We learn to speak our mind in a kind, loving way. Then this is a good thing for relationships. Another thing we can do is listen. So many people are not listened to. They do not feel heard. They do not feel validated. So sometimes all we need to do is listen, but listen carefully. Listen to see what they're saying, what they're not saying, what's behind what they're saying. We can mentor people. We can share our own experiences with people to help them in their lives. Our effect on the world is exponential. As I said before, how you treat your children when they're younger, if you're negative or if you're positive, this follows them their whole life. This affects them physically, mentally, and emotionally. And although we are all our own people, and you could train your child the very best and love them the very best, and they can still have problems. I'm not saying it's a magical pill. But I'm saying if you are negative and critical, then you can be pretty sure that they're going to have some issues. Now, we know children who overcome all this, but again, it would be nicer if they didn't have to work so hard to overcome it. So look at your effect, look at how you are living in your world and in your family, in your friends, your coworkers. You know, you can affect your work, you can affect your firm by um, being encouraging and positive to the people around you. When you affect one person for positive, and they affect one person or one or two people, and they affect one or two people, it grows exponentially. It doesn't have to be just you, and it won't be just you. It will be many, many people if you put these positive vibes out into the world. And the other thing is, it affects you. So let's say we were talking about the controlling thing. So I'm trying to control someone because I think that I'm loving them, I think that I'm helping them, but they see it as me disrespecting them. They start pulling away from me, and I start thinking, ah, what's wrong with them? Why are they pulling away from me? They're not appreciative. They don't love me. They don't like me. It's not, that's not what it is at all. It's that they are having feelings for me. They're thinking that I don't respect them. There are many things that we do in the way we respond to other people, and they respond back to us in a negative way. And it's not because they necessarily wouldn't like us if we were responding in a different way. So be aware if you have people who are responding to you in a negative way, see if you can find out what is going on. It could be that they're just having their own issues, or that they are not very nice people, or it could be that you are reacting in a way they are responding to and reacting to against you. So let's just do a recap. When we think about others, how are we focused? Are we focused on self? Are we focused on others? Do we have a balance of being focused on both? And then also just consider our actions, how we affect others, how they affect us, and just know that your effect on others and on the world is exponential, whether it is for positive or whether it is for negative. All right, I think we're out of here. Have a great week. Hope it is stress-free, or hope that if you have stressful situations happen, that you are able to act out of power and out of responding rather than reacting. Have a great week.